Hey everybody, what's going on? Eric here. Hope everyone's doing well out there. So this is going to be a little bit of a video of Wally in a Box's Custom Kramer guitar and some of the progress that I've gotten done so far on it. It's been a while, so I haven't really posted anything about this. Ended up putting another coat of the epoxy resin on it this morning. It is still like sticky, so I really can't do too much with it right now, but as you can see, I added some more striping to it, and I also added a little bit of a logo which is embedded underneath the epoxy. And what I did was, to get it to look like that instead of being chrome, is I kind of squirted a little bit of the fluorescent pink on top of it before I epoxied it, and to give it a little bit of a different effect instead of just being a chrome, looking logo. But I have to do that when it's applied to the surface because there's a plastic sheeting that's on, clear plastic sheeting that's over it that holds the logo together before you apply it to any surface. So as you can kind of see here, this thing is pretty much flat as a board as far as looking at the fluorescent lights in the ceiling. This area here is a little bit wavy because it's on a pitch. You got a little bit of a piece of dust right there, and then there's a piece of dust someplace up there. Can't help that, but it stands out, and this thing will polish up just fine. You can see I added a little bit more striping to the back. I also epoxy resin the inside of the battery box area. Reason being is I wanted to seal up all of the plywood as much as possible to make sure that this thing is sealed all the way around and not have any type of a moisture or humidity problem. The inside of the control cavity is nice and shiny now. I ended up doing a epoxy dip inside there as well, and it's going to have the clear back plate, so it's going to kind of highlight that. This one here, I didn't do the epoxy in it yet. That one I'm going to wait for last because I want a nice thin coat inside there, not a built up coat. So this area that's inside of here where the circle is, that's where the three-way switch was, so that's like nice and even now, nice and flat. And you don't even notice that there was a three-way switch in the front at all. So here's the headstock, the neck. I got the neck has been clear coated. You can kind of see it's nice and shiny now. And wow, I mean, that center piece of wood that they got in there is showing some flaming really nice. Now there's a question I gotta ask Wally in a Box, and if he sees this video, he'll probably see it and answer it for me. Does he want a nice smooth neck, or does he want it to have a glossy like this? If I sand it down to where it's got a matte finish to it, you're going to lose that flaming that is inside the wood. It's not going to be as, sticking out to you like it is now. So I still have to drill out the holes for the tuners. I got a logo embedded underneath the clear. The ugly patchwork that had to be done on this thing. I need to find a stain that I could take and change the way that these look so it matches better with the neck itself. So here's the neck. I gotta knock this area down a little bit. The headstock's still, nice and shiny. Haven't done anything with it yet, and I can't. Considering that this is still tacky, I can't do any sanding or any type of drilling that's going to create dust or anything. But I can do something else. Alright, so right now we're looking at the Chinese Dragon guitar. This is the one that I had to wait quite a while in order to get because of shipping problems that they were having in China with closing things down due to what's been happening around the world. So finally got it, and I haven't plugged it in. I haven't done anything with it yet, but I'm going to now. First off, I want to explain some of the changes that I had done with this guitar when I had it made. And I'm not too sure of the electronics, so I'm going to open this thing up and show you a little bit about what's in it. I highly doubt that the pickups are going to be Epiphone pickups. I highly doubt that the three-way switch is going to be anything special. I can already tell by the hardware that's on here that it's basic Chinese stuff. And it isn't no Chinese secret either. still peeling off the plastic off the pickups. So a couple of things I had done with this guitar that it was a request of my own, and one of them was, as you guys seen before, was the logo on the headstock. You know, get rid of whatever chips in or you know, whatever that they end up putting on the headstock. I said no. So they did that. The inlay that is on the headstock as well is exactly what I wanted. Another thing that I asked for was the neck profile. I wanted a kind of something that was going to be a little bit more flatter and maybe a little bit more wider, which they ended up doing, which I told them to do, like a D profile of a neck. So it's kind of not really flat. It's still rounded, but it's a little bit more flatter in the middle. So it's not really chunky. It feels like it's a little bit more wider because of that D profile, but it's actually not. So those are two of the things that I wanted done, and I wanted to make sure that they did a decent job with the fretwork and everything else, that I wasn't going to have to do any type of a fret leveling. Now, right now, it's not in tune, but as far as what they did with the nut, the action height at the nut, it's like really, really low. Even the action height at the 12th fret on this thing is decent. It's not bad at all. And you kind of hear a little bit of a buzz because it's not in tune, and it's not really putting anything stress on the neck to pull it into place. But I want to do a bunch of other stuff. So this is supposed to be kind of like a gray quilted maple top with the dragon inlays on it, and they actually did a fantastic job, I have to say. Even where matching up with the body where the neck is, they did a really nice job on this thing. The only thing that I could say that there is a little bit of a kind of a quality issue is right here where the binding is. I don't know if you guys could see that or not. There are some tiny chips, which this is probably going to be a veneer on the top, a quilted veneer, not a actual solid top. So there are some little chips. It's not in the finish, but it is in the veneer itself. So that's one thing that I kind of noticed. Well, you're dealing with Chinese quality, so who the hell knows what you're actually going to get. And that probably happened when they routed out for the binding. And yeah, so it's got a 5-layer binding on here, double bound on front and back, plastic nut on here, fake rover tuners, a standard, cheap, standard spring-loaded tunematic bridge. Everything has got gold hardware on it, which for this guitar, I don't mind the gold hardware on there. And I think what I've got, because I already bought the parts for this thing to start to strip it down and turn this into what I want it to be as far as electronics and tuners go and everything else. And I think I went with the gold as well. So the first thing I want to do right now is kind of go into this back. There are some marks on here from touching it, so I am going to have to do a little bit of polishing. But the finish on this thing is actually pretty nice. It's not bad. It's not what I thought it was going to be, shitty with runs all over the place and, problems all over. It's actually not bad. There is nothing on the back of the headstock as far as like saying made in USA with a fake serial number or anything else. So let me get a screwdriver. And let's see kind of what they did inside of here, which is going to get all replaced anyway, so I'm not really concerned about that. Just to see what kind of, pots they used, and which is probably going to be pretty standard. It's probably going to be all alphas or something cheap like that. I do want to get a bag because I do need to store all of these parts that I'm taking off this so I don't lose them. Now these do have the plastic covers on them. And they did nothing as far as shielding goes, and they did nothing as far as shielding inside here. And it's basic Chinese shit, okay? It's dirty inside there. There's a lot of rubbing compound. There's some wood shavings I could see. I cannot tell what the pots are. They're actually like mini pots. And there's enough room inside there to put a larger pot. So let's see what I got over here. The pickups are not anything special. I can see a red and a, it's probably a blue and a yellow. Is probably what it is. The red probably goes to the 5-way switch over here. Yep. So it is a standard 3-way switch. Look at all this. Look at all this rubbing compound. Man, I don't even fucking do a job like that. So it is a standard switch. It is not a one of those switches that like a box switch. And so you got a black and you got the red. And I can already see here one of the leads probably for, yeah, one of the leads for the pickups is not even connected here. There's solder on it, but it's not even connected. I wonder which one that is. So I'm going to bring you down in here and show you what I'm seeing. So yeah, here is the lead, probably coming from one of the pickups. And it's probably going to be the neck pickup because it's on the bottom. So yeah, that's not even connected. And then these pots, I don't know what the hell, they look like they got a printer stamped on the top of them. Basic cheap Chinese shit. Now, I don't know if this is going to work the way I wanted to do a comparison as far as what it sounds like now and what it's going to sound like after I get done doing all the work to it. But I can tack that up. I could probably get the soldering gun in there and just tack that really quick. So that's what I think I'm going to do. And it'll give me a reason to test out my new soldering gun as well. So let's go ahead and do that. A soldering gun with LEDs on the back of it. Kind of like that. Alright, so let's get this thing tacked up over here. There, that's better. Now I should be able to plug this thing in and be able to make a little bit of noise. So let's kind of see what this thing sounds like. Alright, so I finally got this thing in tune. It took a little bit. I had to remove the truss rod cover, and yeah, there's a lot of rubbing compound in there. That'll be cleaned out when I do the work on this thing. Had to add some relief in order to get rid of some of the fret buzzing that was going on. It was, like I said, this neck was pretty straight. And actually I had to turn the truss rod quite a bit in order to get some relief in this thing. Tuners, there's a lot of slop between going from forward to backwards with the tuners between the gears. It's kind of, there's a lot of play in there. But she's in tune now, and so let's kind of hear what she's doing. So what I'm using right now is Amplitude 5. It's a solid 100 amp clean, which has no pedals, nothing is added to it. I have bass, mid, and treble set right dead center. I have the overdrive and normal set to normal. I also have the crunch set to clean, so there's not going to be anything added as far as distortion goes. This is just going to be a clean to see what these pickups sound like clean. So right now I am in the middle position, so it's both pickups, so let's hear what it sounds like. So right now I have it in the bridge or neck position, so same thing. And let's go over to bridge. So that's pretty much the clean as far as, you know, everything goes. I'm not going to do it dirty because, number one, you know, you want to hear the natural sound of a pickup to get that tone and everything else that you're going to work with as far as what you're going to add and how you're going to add it. And depending on what you're going to add, well, the natural sound of the pickups is going to determine, you know, how much distortion you're going to use, how much reverb, how much, you know, equalization you're going to put in if you have to do any of those. So this is just a natural straight shot, plus or minus dBs as far as putting out a signal of what these pickups can do. And I'm also going to do the same thing with the pickups that I'm going to replace this thing with. So it's not bad.